everyone, my name is Dr. Tracy Muwanga and I am a legal researcher at the Faculty of Natural and Agricultural Sciences at the University of Pretoria. So I am part of the food control group, and what I work on is the right to food and food law. So just to give you a basic introduction on the right to food is essentially a human right that everybody in South Africa has, and it just entails that you have the right to access food. So not to be given food, but to access food. So South Africa is food secure on a national level, but at a household level, South Africa is actually food insecure. The reason for this is because it's difficult for a lot of people in the country to have that kind of access to nutritious food. And what ends up happening then is people will rather buy the food that's easier to access and more affordable. Now that really is an issue, because then it leads to people buying foods that are high in sugars, high in trans fats, and because those are the more affordable types of foods, then what will be the outcome is that people will end up having these non-communicable diseases. So I want to also just discuss a little bit on what the government has tried to make interventions. There have been sugar taxes implemented, salt taxes implemented, but this has obviously not had a big impact on the problem. So to give you some statistics maybe, 31% of men in South Africa and 68% of women suffer from obesity, which is very high numbers, obviously. Now, the other interventions that the government is trying to implement are regulations relating to the labeling of food. So these regulations have not been passed, but one of the main inclusions that they would have, if they were to be passed, is what's known as front of pack labeling. So what that means is there are certain nutrient cutoff values that are provided for in the regulations, and those values will determine the cutoff points. So if a product, for example, is high in sugar or high in salts, as per those values given in the regulations, then the front of the food product has to have a label indicating that it's high in salt or high in sugar or whatever the case may be. So as an example, have a chocolate bar, okay, no shade to Cadbury, but just an example. So if you look at the back of most of your food products, you will see that there is nutritional information that's given. So this is where now you will look for your nutrient cutoff values. Now, for instance, with this particular chocolate bar, we'll just look at the sugar, and it says here that it has about 58.8 grams per 100 grams. So according to the nutrient cutoff values, if the product has more than 10 grams per 100 grams, then it will have to have, on the front of the package, it will have to say that it is high in sugar and also have an exclamation mark. So then there is a warning. So the whole purpose or reasoning behind this is just so that consumers can make more informed decisions when they're purchasing the food, and yeah, just so that they know that it is high in sugar or high in fat. So since this one is 58 grams, which is obviously higher than 10 grams per 100 grams, it would also have to have the label on the front. And that is essentially what we are hoping will then be the case. Then hopefully we can cut back on the cases of non-communicable diseases such as obesity.